All right, Chapter 2.17, Driving Emergencies. Again, you're going to be on the road with a lot of other people, so driving emergencies are going to happen. You need to know how to handle it if you get in that situation. So traffic emergencies occur when two vehicles are about to collide. Here are some strategies, steering to avoid a crash and some other ways to get away from it. Make yourself very familiar again with this stuff. Read through and highlight everything that I have highlighted. Read through it. Know about it. You got to keep both hands on the steering wheel. Here are some ways to turn quickly and safely. Where to steer. Sometimes braking isn't the best thing to do. So steering is the only way that you can get away from whatever's in front of you. There's a lot of important things in here. If you've been using your mirrors, you know which lane is empty and can be safely used. So that's always important. That's why you know what's going on around you at all times. Leaving the road, sometimes you don't have a choice, so you know how you have to handle that. It explains it right here. Coming back onto the road, always a danger because of the difference in height of the shoulders compared to the regular roadbed. If braking is what you're going to do, how to stop quickly and safely. Two different types of braking. You got controlled braking and stab braking. Know the difference between these two. A lot of times that is a pretty standard question that comes up on the test. Don't jam on the brakes. You don't want your vehicles to go into a skid. Brake failure. We already talked about a little bit the way brakes can fade or fail if going down a hill. This is more information that, when it comes to your brakes. So two things that can cause that, hydraulic pressure and brake fade on long hills. Now, hydraulic pressure is not what we're going to be studying. However, you do need to know some ways to check for loss of hydraulic pressure because there could be some questions on the test, on the general knowledge test for that. Air brakes, once we get to that test, we're going to be covering air brakes a little more in depth. But both questions could be on this test. So this is what you do in case of loss of hydraulic pressure. Know that. I've seen those questions a lot on the practice tests. Escape route, talked about that a little bit. We'll go over that a little bit more later on. But that's a good thing to know. That's how you protect yourself just in case you do have brake fade. Instead of crashing, you can find an escape route, and it could very well save your life. Okay, so then again, it talks about brake failure on downgrades. We've been through that just a little bit. Tire failure. First of all, you have to recognize it. A lot of the things we go about with these trucks, we feel. You can't see a lot of things, so you have to go with the way it feels and the way things hear, or the way things sound. That's how you know you have an issue or a problem with the truck. So these are some different ways that you might hear or recognize tire failure. How you respond to it. Never slam on your brakes. Always hold the steering wheel firmly. And, of course, once you get stopped, get out and check your tires probably first, depending on the sound that you heard, of course. Anti-lock braking systems. We're going to go into these a little bit. There are some questions about it. They're relatively general questions, but there are going to be some specific ones. So, again, it may not make any sense to you, but they do ask a lot of questions, or the potential to have questions on the general knowledge test is up there with for anti-lock braking systems. So, ABS, in short, stands for anti-lock braking systems. Here's a little bit of a history lesson. What vehicles are required to have anti-lock braking systems? You'll need to know that. There are some questions that could come up that include that, and along with how to know your vehicle is equipped with ABS. A lot of times it will accompany a picture or a diagram on your question as well. braking with ABS. Braking with ABS, you drive as you normally would. Braking if ABS is not working, you drive as you normally would, but still make yourself familiar with what you're doing here. Safety reminders. ABS will not allow you to drive faster, more closely, or drive less carefully. Familiarize yourself with all this stuff. ABS, you drive as you normally would. It basically keeps your brakes from locking up in an emergency situation. Skid control and recovery. Here are some terms right here. Things that can be cause of a skid. Most likely, one of these four would be cause of any skid. Recovery, it goes into this down here a little bit better. This is how you, a way that you might get into a drive wheel skid, but this is, it also explains how you recover. In 219.2, it says how you recover correcting a drive wheel braking skid. You can see in the diagram how if a trailer starts to jackknife, this is how it's going to look. Direction of slide is that way, and the rear tractor wheels, or the trailer wheels, are still moving, but your tractor wheels are starting to slide and come around you. So the first thing you want to do is stop braking, and of course counter steer into the skid. Moving on to front wheel skids. Most of the time, it says when a front wheel skid occurs, the only way to stop the skid is let the vehicle slow down, stop turning and or braking so hard, and slow down as quickly as possible without skidding. All right, there's your review for 217, 218, and 219. Know these questions, be able to answer them, get them finished up, then you can move on to the next sections. 220. We'll be back with another video.